Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. 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 Hi, today is the 50th anniversary of the PBS Kids series from 1972, Zoom. And it's going to be today's TV log right now. And I'm happy to bring this to everyone out there, to all fans of this great series, and to all the Zoomers out there if they're watching it. So, what am I waiting for? Let's get going. This is a Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews TV log. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to you as the Big D. This, of course, is a TV log. And today I'm going to talk about something I had not really seen a whole lot of. Now, I'll tell you what the show is. Now, as a kid, I grew up with lots of PBS kids shows from long ago. I had seen, though I was born in 1980, I got to see some of the stuff they showed in the 70s, like reruns of Mr. Rogers. Didn't get to see much of reruns of Sesame Street from long ago, but The Electric Company was another show. And all those instructional TV programs they showed, like Inside Out, Search for Science with Bob Crumpler, let's see, Think About, All About You, oh boy, The Right Channel, The Metric System. There's so many of those. But there was this one show that I did not see nor hear of until the internet came along and introduced me to this. But I didn't get to see it until I got to encounter it on YouTube. So, here it is, to commemorate its 50th anniversary. The show I'm going to talk about is the one, the only, the original, Zoom. Zoom was a fun-filled kids show that encouraged the kids to turn off the TV and do it. Originally premiering on PBS on this day, January 9th, 1972, which is 50 years ago. Originally produced by WGBH Boston. Now, of course, it's GBH to y'all. I gotta say, this show is really fun, and I really do love it. Now, before I continue talking about the show, I'm going to tell y'all the truth and what have you to a lot of y'all, since I've been getting to know some people who actually liked the show long ago. You all now know that I was born in the 80s, and that was when Zoom was taking off the air, so I never did get to see it until the internet came along. I actually did get to hear its theme song one time, but then I never got to see it. I did see some of its 1999 to 2006 reboot, but I'll explain about that later on. I won't be mentioning that version much. If you want me to do a TV log of that, I'll try and do that later in the future. But for now, I'm going to talk about the original. And then when I found YouTube for several years, I had wanted to discover this show. And I'd only seen bits and pieces of it until I recently got to see a few episodes. And just last year, I managed to get to see a lot of the series. And what can I say? After watching it, I instantly fell in love with this show, just about as fast as I fell in love with watching shows from my time that I never did get to see, like Small Wonder or Punky Brewster. Yeah. But anyway, this was more an actual variety show. But anyway, it's a show that's made for kids and starring only kids. Please excuse me, I will return. Sorry about that. But anyway, I apologize for the interrupt. I was kind of just a police standby. But anyway, now of course I can get back into what I was saying. Where was I? Oh yes. Anyway, it was inspired by shows like Sesame Street and The Electric Company, which premiered just a few months before this the previous year. Now, it was designed to give the kids who watched it a voice while adults on screen. It was, for the most part, unscripted. And far from seeking to make stars of the child performers, their contracts prohibited them from making any television appearances or doing commercials for 3 years after they left the show. Anyway, on the show, there was a cast of 7 kids. Later on, there was 10 in the 4th season. There were 6 seasons produced overall, with over about somewhere between about 100 and close to maybe about 150 or more episodes were produced and aired, I think. But I might be wrong. If I am wrong, then I apologize. These kids were known as the Zoomers. They presented various activities such as games, plays, poems, recipes, jokes, songs, movies, science experiments, and informal chats on subjects such as hospitals, prejudice, divorce, etc. All suggested by viewer contributions. Anyway, the young Zoomers were only identified by their first names, and every 6 months, half the cast would be replaced, creating a continuous revolving door of hosts. Now, kids can mail in stuff to them, which of course became a pop culture reference for its musical exoration. Which that's already stuck in my head and what have you after watching Zoom so much on YouTube. Anyway, what we know is all you gotta do is write Zoom ZOOM Box 350 Boston, Mass. 02134. Send it to Zoom. Of course, the send it to Zoom bit was introduced later on in the 2nd season. The lines were mostly spoken, but the zip code was sung. Yeah, you could send them anything, just as long as you included a SACY, as they would give out later on. Well, it would be introduced in the 4th season, the little phrase, a SACY, which meant self-addressed stamped envelope. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, I was an 80s kid, but it's a shame I never got to see this show. I would have loved it to have done that, but I have met several people, well, not met, but, talked to several people who did grow up with this show. Which I do thank them for talking about this and what have you. Now, each week, the Zoomers brought you all sorts of fun-filled activities and all that stuff. Now, among some of their segments include the Zoom movie, the Zoom play of the week, the Zoom rap, which of course that's where they talk about all sorts of subjects, the Zoom game, a Zoom do, a Zoom goodie, Zoom phenomenon, and later on several other things like Zoom magic, Zoom trauma. Oh, the list goes on. The program also featured its own language, which was Ubbi-Dubbi, where the syllable of ub was added before each vowel sound in each syllable of each word. Now that was usually used when they did a little commercial bit, but that wasn't until later on. But they did do some in the 1st season. As one would say, Zoom will resume after this important message. And sometimes they start, "Hi-bye for folks," and maybe sometimes, "Hi-bye for Benz." Yeah, I'm kind of rusty at Ubbi-Dubbi, but I'm trying to practice a little bit more. In the first 2 seasons, another word game was used, Fanny Dooley, which was featured. And it was a series of statements about the titular character who are presented to the audience without further explanation. See, for example, Fanny Dooley likes sweets but hates candy. Now, spoilers if you have not seen the show, it was eventually revealed that Fanny Dooley loved all words with double letters and hated all words without them. Of course, there would be a song that would be done for the 2nd season. Another segment here, which I did forget to mention, that was a Zoom guest. Now, each show had maybe 1 or 2 segments of this. The Zoom guest sequences are short film documentaries about children with special talents. ranging from singing, tap dancing, instrument making, or I don't know, what have you, to ones with interesting hobbies or jobs. The first episode featured a boy who I think his name was Roy, I believe. Yeah, he built a boat by making a ring of sticks and twigs and covering them with a tarpaulin, tarpon. That's it. Sorry. Another segment that was introduced was Zoom in the Street. Now, although in the first season it was called Tracy Asks. Now, who was Tracy? I'll get to her in a little bit. Now, that's a sequence in which Tracy or later on other Zoomers ask the question. Like, for example, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Or, why is the world's longest word? Local children were filmed giving their answers. The first season had a little quickie comedy routines modeled after the quickie intros in Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. Now, the performers in the original series were known for wearing striped rugby shirts and jeans. I may not have no rugby shirts, but this was all the stripes I could get to wear, so don't mind these, okay? They may not be like what the Zoomers wore, but... In the first two seasons, the cast performed barefoot, but wore shoes from season 3 on. Anyway, throughout the 6-season run, the show had 49 Zoomers overall. Now, during the second and third seasons, cast members were transitioned with a catchy production number called How You Do. It introduced the new cast members to the continuing cast members, and the same song was used for each transition, which I'm sure you've heard the song. In the last 3 seasons, entirely new casts were used. Several episodes were available with captions for the hearing impaired. Anyway, the show started out in early 72. It had 7 Zoomers. There were 4 boys and 3 girls. The boys were Joe Strand, Joseph as he's now as. He's also Dr. Joe to you because he runs the Dr. Joe show on radio. Let's see, Kenny Pyers, Tommy White, well, he's Tom White now, and John Runing. If I mispronounce that last name, I humbly apologize. The girls were Nina Lilly, Nancy Tate, well, it's Nancy Walker now, and Tracy Tannabring. Well, and of course, her last name's now Thompson. Of course, that's the Tracy who did Tracy Asks. Anyway, now after that, the show did pretty well, and it went on for a second season. Joe, Nina, Tommy, and John were Splitsville, but Kenny, Tracy, and Nancy were still there. They were introduced with 2 new boys and 2 new girls. The boys were Jay Schertzer and David Alberico. The girls were Ann Messer and Mara Mullaney, who stayed on for half of the second season, and then until Kenny, Nancy, and Tracy went their own ways in the first performance of How You Do. Then they were excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Replaced with 3 new Zoomers, 2 boys and 2 girls. Luis Gonzalez, Leon Mobley, which were the boys, and Bernadette Yo, which was the girl, who stayed on for the rest of the run. After that, Mara and David and Jay left, and then 4 more Zoomers were added. 2 boys and 2 girls. The 2 boys were Neil Johnson and Danny McGrath. The girls were Lori Boskin, or Boyle, as she's now known as Lori Boskin Boyle, and Edith Moores. And then the show came to an end. Then soon in the 3rd season, they got themselves a new sponsor in McDonald's restaurants. And the 3rd season went on with Danny, Edith, Lori, and Neil, plus 3 new Zoomers. The boys were Mike Dean and Timmy Pruce. The girl was Donna Moore, who recently did the very first Zoom play of the week in the form of riddles, which that's a very fun play. And I'll talk more about that when I decide to talk about the plays of the week. I've been thinking about doing rankings for not just the Zoomers, but for other things they've done. Like the plays of the week, maybe Zoom guests, maybe Zoom news too, maybe. But I'm also thinking about doing the songs they do, because at the end of each episode, they perform a fun little song, most notably a children's favorite, and sometimes a cover of a particular song that was a big hit from long ago. For example, Three Dog Night's "Joy to the World," although it just had some slight changes to some of the verses and what have you. Well, one line in the three verses, you know. But I'll explain about that when I do that, alright? After that, after they had done 19 episodes, Danny, Edith, Lori, and Neil went their ways, and then soon they were joined by 4 new Zoomers, joining Mike, Timmy, and Donna. The boys were another Danny Malloy, and the other boy being Hector Dorda. The girls were Sean Miranda Reed and Rose Clarkow. After 20 more episodes were done, they all left. Now, during the 3rd season, kids wrote in to see their favorite segments from the 1st and 2nd seasons. Now, sometimes in those episodes, the season 3 Zoomers would do their own sketches and what have you. Plus some other things that were added, like As a Matter of Fact, where they do a little spy spoof scene going under names Z1 to Z7. Let's see, and then of course, and then someone saying a thing called if all things were one thing and what have you, which that's absolutely a really funny thing. If one animal and one animal were one thing, and then Wild Lovely, well, you know, like what I saw, if all the dogs and the fish were one thing, Wild Lovely dogfish that would be. See what I mean? Yeah, it's pretty funny. After that, a 4th season went on. Then they add 10 new Zoomers, 5 boys and 5 girls. The boys were Harvey Reed, David J. O'Brien, although he went under the name of Red, because there was another David, and that was David Azotto, Tommy Schultz, and Norman Christian. The girls were Andre Gamboa, as she's known as, but was Andre Nielsen, Carmen Hernandez, Tracy Dunlap, Kate Wadsworth, and Tishy Flaherty. Excuse me, folks. Still, they gave us like 30 big episodes with all sorts of zany fun and what have you, plus skits that the kids sent in. Those were just so funny. I've seen those and they are all good. Unfortunately, after the 4th season ended, the show kind of hit a speed bump when McDonald's pulled their funding from the show, thus putting Zoom on hiatus, and it wasn't seen from the 75 to 76 season on PBS. However, well, with new episodes anyway, but however, they continued to rerun the 4 seasons. In 1976, Zoom was back again, back to the original formula with 7 Zoomers and with a new funder in the form of General Foods. Of course, that's now Kraft Heinz or Kraft Foods to you now. And it was 4 boys and 3 girls. The boys were Chris Blackwell, Ron Richmond, Arcadio Gonzalez, and Lavelle Getters, who unfortunately wasn't on the show much because due to a little bit of an issue with a little dispute between the show and his mother. But some of you probably know the story and some of y'all don't, but we got to see a little bit of him through maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes and only bits of him in the later episodes. I think only 10 episodes were produced for that. And for this, the girls were Jennifer Gold, Karen Wing, and Nell Cox. After that, in 77, Zoom was back for one last run, but with 4 girls and 3 boys. The boys were John Lathan, Nicholas Butterworth, and Chi Kim. The girls were Susan Wolf, Shauna Denial, Carolyn Malcolm, and Amy Clark. And they brought in more fun than you can ever imagine. Anyway, in 1978, right after 15 episodes were produced for that season, which I'm pretty sure that's the right amount for the 6th season, but I might be wrong. Zoom came to an end, but however continued in reruns for a couple more years, and then PBS stopped airing the show in 1980, in September of 1980, and that of course was when they were starting to hit it big with their new science program, 321 Contact, which premiered earlier that year. There would be various merchandise really well presented for the show, including record albums such as Playgrounds featuring the first cast. Those full albums are available on YouTube to listen to. I haven't listened to them all. Next would be Come On Zoom, released on A&M Records, which has, re-recordings of songs that were originally used in the second season and in other seasons, but done by cast members from the second season and a little bit of the third season. And then there was also Zoom Tunes, which that was pretty cool. And 2 books came out. The Zoom Catalog, which is pretty easy to find, but I would love to find for a better price though. The other one was Do a Zoom Do, which of course, the Zoom Do segment was a little activity segment where you can make things at home and what have you. But that's pretty rare to find though. In 1998, WGBH released a video and book set called The Best of the 70s and Zoomers Revisited, Where Are They Now? A decade later, they re-released The Best of the 70s in a set called Zoom Back to the 70s. A bonus disc was included containing 4 episodes. So anyway, I really do love this show. It's become a favorite of mine since I never did get to see it until I found more of it on YouTube. Now here are some other things I will tell you. Zoom games are pretty fun and what have you. Now, some of these games do get included with the Zoom game logo and some don't. Now, for example, there is this one game that was used in the last Season 2 Cast A episode, and this was probably one of my favorite games. I might show you a clip of it one day if I decide to do some of my favorite moments from Zoom. It went like this. There's a car. Where? Over there. And then so on. Lately, that's a clip I always like to watch if I'm feeling down and what have you, and then find me a good laugh. Know what I'm saying, folks? Now, the Zoom Goodie segment, it's recipes sent by kids. Now, some are kind of a little tiny bit odd, but most of them are pretty good and what have you. I do like Zoom Phenomenon, which was introduced in the 3rd season. It's kind of like a science experiment, similar to what I would see on maybe shows like Mr. Wizard's World later on. Yeah, anyway. Well, even though Mr. Wizard was big long before this, Oh yeah, one other thing. Season 4 also had, aside from their play, was a little segment called As the World Zooms, a take on CBS's As the World Turns, which that was absolutely funny. And you could send a contribution of how to continue the storyline, what have you. I gotta say, that was a fun bit and what have you. I loved As the World Zooms. So anyway, since I'm still kind of factually new, but not 100% new, Zoom has become one of my favorite classic kid shows. I just wish a part of me wish I could go back in time and watch them when they first actually aired, but that couldn't happen. But hey, a guy can dream, can't he? But even so, I loved Zoom and what have you. Now let me give you a look. Let me show you some of the cast pictures. Be right back. Now, here's a picture that contains the cast of the 1st season, which they're pretty cool in my way. I really liked all these kids. They were pretty cool. Well, here's probably the best Season 2 cast I got. This is Cast C and what have you. I'm sorry I can't give you all of them, but, I'm sure you know who the Zoomers are when you see them. I'm sorry I'm doing this getting the pics from my tablet, so I do apologize. But this is the 2nd season, 3rd cast. And here's the 1st cast of the 3rd season. Yeah, this is when the show gets even more fun and what have you. Here's the cast of the 4th season. This addresses their characters from As the World Zooms. Yeah, pretty funny, huh? Really do like it. Now here's the cast of the 5th season. Yeah, really good bunch of kids. Even though Lavelle wasn't on much, but hey, this was still a pretty good cast, you know. And here's the cast of the 6th season. Yep. Pretty cool, huh, folks? Sorry, everyone. Having trouble trying to take that off. Listen, I just got these from I'm just showing these off from a YouTube group I'm in. So, to everyone, I do apologize for using those, but this was the only way I could get a good pick of Zoomers and what have you. So please, I do apologize. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. But anyway, actually, that 6th season cast was actually taken from an actual Zoom card. That's what you can get when you send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Zoom. You get a Zoom card with instructions for something. It could be for a Zoom do, could be a Zoom goodie, or it could be something else and what have you. Now, you can send just about anything for play or just about any other thing. Oh yeah, one other thing I forgot to mention: the Zoom barrel. That's another fun segment. That's where you can see some really fun, silly games and what have you. I really do think that was a fun bit. Yeah, Zoom barrel's pretty funny. That was introduced in the 2nd season. They just reach inside the barrel and pick out a letter, and there they read what is. It's a fun game, and so they get into it. It's pretty cool. Alright, so now you know all about it, Zoom. After it ended in 1999, WGBH would bring a new reboot of the series that would go on till 2006. Anyway, Zoom would go on to win various Emmy Awards as well. So, does make it a pretty big success for PBS. Anyway, so now you know what I will tell you about Zoom. I will be doing my ranking of the season 1 Zoomers coming up later on this week, so be on the lookout for it. So let me know what your thoughts are on Zoom, the 1972 series, in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Thank you for watching and enjoying this. And if you like this, consider watching my videos for these other PBS shows. In the upper left-hand corner is the TV log I did for Sesame Street. The upper right-hand corner is the Wide World of Game Shows episode I did for Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And the bottom left-hand corner is the TV log I did for the Electric Company, which is my most viewed TV log so far. But Zoom might surpass it. You never can tell. And the bottom right-hand corner, excuse me. I got carried away, didn't I? The bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the TV log, then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying see ya and happy 50th anniversary, Zoomers. And to your show, Zoom as well. Bye now.